Keys brick.
Timers are tight.
Skull dies last.
last.
Hi, and welcome to Skull Dies Last podcast. My name is Day, and I'm joined by my co-host, Digi.
Hello, good morning.
Anyway, Digi,
Good time zone. Yes.
how does the Sunday, March 22nd, preseason season heroic week of midnight, that's where we're at. You know, I don't get my favorite part, but can you tell us what the hell this podcast is?
Sure. So Skull Dies Last. We are a Mythic Plus focused World of Warcraft podcast. We're not a coaching show or like a step-by-step guide or anything like that. We're definitely not here pretending that we have perfect roots or the secret formula to push your titles or Keystone Master or anything like that. This show's more about our real runs, mistakes, our frustrations, but also the wins that make us want to queue up for more keys. The two of us, we're coming at the game from two very different places. One of us, myself, I'm just returning to the grind after many years away, and you, Day, who have been kind of at it consistently the whole time. And each week we're just breaking down how the season just actually feels to us. So whether you're pushing high keys or you're stuck trying to time a level 5, or if you're just getting into Mythic Plus for the first time, this is meant to be a place where people can relate, learn, vent, and feel like they're just part of the same grind together. At the end of the day, we're just looking to build a Mythic Plus community around honest discussion without gatekeeping.
Sounds like something I need in my life.
Me too, definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining. Now, let's dive in. So, Digi, how's the preseason been treating you?
So far so good. Just kind of getting settled into my class that I think I've finally decided that I'm going to stick with.
Ooh, what class?
We're going with Elemental Shaman after leveling 4 characters in the first week of me playing, trying to decide where I want to settle. I started off with thinking that Destruction Warlock was going to be me, which is something I've not really dived into in the past. I've always been more of a, well, back in my day when I actively played, I was always a tank with like a mage
Are you
for
sure
my
you don't want to
DPS.
tank? Mythic Plus could use tanks.
I do, but it's been a
Been a
very
minute?
long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that.
So
I mean, I get tank
I
anxiety.
I never used to. Like my heyday in World of Warcraft is Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. So for me, like back then, tanking, I was always a warrior tank mainly. In Wrath, when it got really good, I played a prot paladin a lot as well. But I had no issue queuing up for whatever, jumping in like a random group, tanking for it. But now that tank anxiety is real, partly because that was what 15 years ago,
Well,
and I was.
to be fair, there weren't any timers and there weren't any optimizations that you could make that, you can truly piss off somebody. Why'd you pull
Yeah,
that mob?
honestly, I think that is one of like the most jarring changes for me. Back then, like I would go into a heroic or a raid. Well, I mean, even raids now are so long, but even going into a heroic, you're going into that knowing like I'm probably going to be in here for an hour. You're going to go in, you're going to shoot the shit with your group if it's like a pre-made or even randoms. You're going to go in, you'll probably clear everything, and like you're set for like a solid hour. Where now it's skip absolutely everything you can and be in and out in 15 minutes.
I do agree with you. Looking at the dungeon timers this coming season, Looks like the highest is at 34 minutes. So you got 34 minutes to time your key. I mean, it probably causes a lot of tank anxiety. My my plan right now, because I'm raiding on Evoker, both Devastation or Augmentation, is my Evoker is my number one priority for keys because you need gear to go to raid, right? Um,
Yeah.
my preseason has been relatively smooth. I've played a lot. What is my slash played? Do you know your slash played? Ha,
Let's
this level, 2
see.
days, 16 hours, 40 minutes, and 24 seconds. Dumb.
Uh, I'm only at 17 hours, but this is also my fourth character switch. So, combine all them together is probably a couple days.
Yeah, I'm not on the druid, so I'm also healing as Resto Druid. And then I've got a Prot Pally for tank substitution because give those that tank for us a break sometimes. Let them do some smacking around of some creatures that give them a hard time as a tank because whatever frontal or white hit that one shot them randomly because they were unaware of it. Shit happens in
Yeah.
keys, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
my
Are we allowed to
plan,
cuss here? That's not within the first 30 seconds, right?
I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, my plan is pretty similar character wise. I have my tank ready to go. I'm going back to my tried and true prot warrior. I don't care if it's S rank or D rank. I love playing a prot warrior. It's always been my go-to. Well, that and paladin, but we're bringing it back to my roots with the warrior, and I'm gonna do something that I have never really. I did in the past, and if I ever put up priest videos, I'm always going to use benediction as my weapon override. I don't care. I got it. I love it. That's going to be it. I've priest healed in the past, but it's been, oh god, what, 20
Well, the game's been out, what,
20
22
years?
years? 23?
Yeah,
Was it 6?
I
So
think
22.
like mid, like early mid wrath, I think was the last time I healed in WoW. I healed in Final Fantasy a little bit. I've never been a healer, but I think I want to expand and play a holy priest.
Not to discourage
And
anybody, but I can tell you as a healer, your fate is in everyone else's hands.
realistically, I don't see myself healing for like high level keys, but I want to try. And
So you could say a goal is to heal.
that is definitely one of my goals. I want to try healing. I've tanked for years. I've done DPS for years. Now I'm coming back from a big break, so I'm bringing back the tanking. I'm bringing back the DPS. Those are always. But I wanna try healing, and it's scary.
What's funny is you are not the only one coming back from a really long break that I've met. Of course, you and I have known each other for years now
Yeah,
through other activities. Last night, some people in the raid that I joined, I volunteered to help out, which I I really am looking forward to keys because that's more bite-sized chunk for my attention span lately. Back to the point is there are people who are coming back after leaving in Wrath, which
yeah.
blows my mind. But I mean, I
It's
guess it also
definitely a
makes
long time
sense.
to be away.
Well, yeah, like uh that was what, 9, 8.
2008. Yeah,
Was it 8 or was it 9?
I
Pretty sure it was 9.
mean that sounds right.
Like early 9 cuz Kata was 2010. So it makes
Yeah,
sense.
Wrath was a really short expansion, like time wise, if I remember right.
Where are we on our little list of topics today? So my expectations. So you something that you want to do is heal. Um
Yeah,
I want to break 3K IO. I'm coming back from a terrible year in my personal life that kind of derailed a lot of my playing. I certainly logged in and played and got KSM and KSH. I'd have to look. In season 3 was a big hole in my WoW heart. I'm here, and my raid team, which I like, don't get me wrong, I might not really enjoy raiding too much, but I like the friends in the community that brings. My personal raid team doesn't necessarily have downtime. We have optimized our raid night to get as much done as possible with as little downtime as possible. We're not going to take 15 minutes to reset a boss. In fact, if somebody dies early enough, we might even call for a reset just to because we know we need that DPS or we know that we need that healer later, and burning a BR might as well just reset and be perfect. And that's kind of how I grew up in raiding, was call for early reset, get it done, get back to the boss, kill the boss. One thing
Yeah.
in terms of that is also we're dealing with RNG. You can play a game that's on Steam. Like right now, there's a Steam game that shows you the boss mechanics for this raid tier. You can play that. You can read the journal. You could read a description. You can read a strategy. You can watch a video. You can rewind the video, rewatch it. Do all kinds of stuff. But until you actually see it, like what it feels like for your character, you've got an arrow on your head. What do you do with this? Until you do it, oftentimes as an adult, you have to do it. Everything else is theory.
Yeah, I know for me, I can watch all the videos in the world and read all the guides, but for me to like actually like get it down and know what I need to do, I need to get in there and do it. Like a video is great for me to see it, but until I actually do it, it doesn't really stick very well.
Now, in the same breath, I'm going to tell you I'm going to watch every video on Mythic Plus season for keys and tips and tricks and like, oh, what caster is the most lethal? But it still doesn't mean I'm going to remember in the middle of a key and go like, oh, that's the cast I need to kick.
Hmm. Yeah, I need to do that as well because we both know my what's the word? I'm not good at kicking.
Your trauma
Yeah,
induced
and
by me?
I'm playing a class that has a short cooldown kick.
Effectively the shortest, other than melee. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and we know how that went in my very brief stint in Shadowlands as an elemental shaman. Um, but that was a long time ago. I've learned, and I'm basically gonna put in the work that we need to, or that I need to rather, to know more of like what I need to kick and who I need to kick with the assistance of watching videos, add-ons, and all of that sort. Even like the nameplate add-on that gives me the colors of like, hey, kill this first, and you probably want to kick it, was a big help during season 1 of A War Within. So for me, that's something to work on to make my life a little nicer, to not get screamed at.
Ah.
Good times.
God damn it, fucking kick that. I was also playing Arresto Druid at the time.
Oh God, we're doing it again.
Oh no. My goal for next week is to fill my vault with tens. Whether I'm going to have the time to accomplish that or not is another story, because next week we all start at a 2. I don't think they've done any shenanigans with starting your key 10 less than what you ended in the War Within. They were doing that between seasons and Dragonflight, but I don't know. But a 2, I mean, we've both have done Mythic 0.
Hmm.
We've done Mythic 0 on multiple characters and different roles. They're fairly straightforward right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to tune them up or down. On beta, we were all tuned. The players were tuned to certain eye levels per key level, which effectively gives you a base amount of stats. Like, this is what this gear could potentially give you if you're moderately optimized. So for a class that favors haste, your haste should be higher. If you're a class that favors crit, crit should be higher, mastery, etc. And beta keys at 12 or higher felt fairly reasonable. Mind you, I was with others who were comfortable in that bracket. But we still had our problems because we didn't know what to kick yet. And I'm sure someone will have some sort of thing that says you always kick this cast, you kick that cast. And I'm going to find it and I'm going to try to remember it. My
And send
job,
that to me, please.
send it to you. I will. Well, I'll send it to everybody if I find that resource. I'm sure someone out there in the audience probably even has written it, and feel free to link it in comments, etc., etc.
Yes, please. I need it. Right now, I wanna. There's that GIF of, I can't remember who it is, where he's wearing glasses. And it's just like you can see like the primal, and he's saying, "I need it." That's going through my mind right now. If you have that resource, I need it. I need it bad.
Yeah, and I will certainly use it as an evoker. Lately, I've been doing, and I'll probably do most of my keys as augmentation to help do stuff that DPS like they should do, or like a healer could do. Like, I don't want to say should. A healer should heal. In fact, on my resto druid, I feel like they've done a fairly decent job making your primary goal to actually heal. I'm not entirely sure I agree with how they've done it with a lot of the health absorbs, but it's working. I am healing. I'm not necessarily, doing the Willow part of Buffy, bored now, you know, and then flip to damage, only to then not pay attention to anything else. And then, no, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
I'm glad they're bringing that back, because like, again, coming from, the old guy perspective of it, is a healer, like you said, their job is to heal. They shouldn't, the way I feel is they shouldn't have to heal, try and focus on pumping out as much damage as they can. Same with tanks. Like, tanks inherently, especially for AoE pulls, do a solid amount of damage. But for me, like, as a tank, like when I'm playing my warrior, my job is to hold threat and do damage, but I shouldn't have to be trying to keep up, or even be higher than the DPS. Like, I'm here to hold aggro, do whatever tank mechanics there are, while the DPS does their job of killing everything down. So I'm glad that they're kind of balancing that back out.
Yeah, I think that's a good change. Speaking of changes, since we're not actually into keys, the dungeons this season, I find the pool to be pretty interesting. Although I'm kind of like, I don't know about Seat. It wasn't really a well played dungeon back in Legion. It's kind of okay now. I stepped away later in Legion, uh, with a small break, and I didn't really play that dungeon. So I'm sure it's a great dungeon. I'm just maybe a little lost in it. Magister's Terrace is gonna rock. Windrunner Spire has a neat thing. I'm wondering what we're gonna do for pathing, if there's gonna be any shenanigans. Caverns, everyone has started to just go left. Like, even in our zeros, we've just gone left and rescued those people. I've never seen
Right.
anybody go right. Wild. Nexus Point.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
That's gonna be fun.
No, sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah, I really like Nexus Point. I know one of our friends who runs with us doesn't really love it. And he's got a fun name for it that I'm not gonna say on the podcast. But I, for the midnight half of the dungeon pool, I'm pretty stoked. I like these dungeons a lot. For the old stuff, I don't think I've ever done Seat.
Until yesterday.
Did we do Sea yesterday?
Yeah, we
I
did
don't
a
know if
world
I was there
tour.
for that.
Oh, right. You had other commitments.
I had D&D.
Damn.
Yeah. And that will lead into another segment once we finish our dungeon pool talk.
Skyreach. Oh boy.
Yikes.
Pitter
I do
Saran
like
was done.
Skyreach.
Like that was very beautiful. What they've done to it in terms of what it used to be. Do you remember what it was back in the day?
No.
Okay,
That
so
was Shadowlands, right?
no, that's Lich King.
That's Lich King. Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, that
That's
that
a
was
long
one
time
of the
ago.
dungeons that they led up into the raid. I forget the other
Was
names.
that up into Ice Crown?
Yeah,
Yeah, that would have been after um my departure.
you what? You didn't kill
Yeah,
the Lich King?
no.
I
My
don't think I knew
parents
this.
did. My parents spoiler alert, gamer family. My parents played games and they raided in World of Warcraft and they killed the Lich King and I did not.
I killed the Lich King. In fact, I was kicked out of a guild that I joined after wanting to have a little bit more time and use vacation for myself and not to raid. They removed me and then I formed another guild and then beat them till the Lich King kill.
It's always like a nice feeling. It's never a nice feeling to be kicked out of a guild,
Yeah, I came
but
home from
when
work. Like what?
like when you can take that, turn around, start your own, and then beat them to something, it feels good.
And it was
I
as a
I had
10
a
player.
I had a similar thing happen. I wasn't kicked out of a guild, but early Wrath, everyone's hitting Naxxramas. Um, we were going in 25 man, I think. It was not going well. No one was geared. We weren't ready. The guild leader wanted to go. So I think we killed like a boss or two. And then we were hard stuck. We need gear before we keep going. And I was an officer. My buddy who back when we had class officers, I was like the warrior slash tank guy. Um, well, actually, no. At that point, I was the Death Knight guy because I had swapped to DK, top 10 level 80 DKs on my server. To first level 80. And then my buddy was like, he was a holy priest. He was our healing guy, and we had pulled him into a separate channel back in the days of TeamSpeak. Shout out TeamSpeak. And we basically told him like, hey, we need to call this. Like, we need to go get gear. So why don't we split up into groups and go run heroics, and then we come back at this in a couple days. Long story short, he freaked out, left the guild, disbanded it. We reformed like the next day in a guild I had on an alt, and our first week we hit Obsidian Sanctum with a Drake up, no problem, wiped it out. It was a one Drake run, but for our first week as a guild with not like amazing gear, I was pretty stoked, and it felt good. It was kind of like a virtual middle finger to that guy being kind of a dick, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess reining back my tangent there, back to D&D. And not I'm not going to talk about D&D, but the whole real life versus game time balance.
Yeah, we're both
Um,
ironically pretty busy for starting a new podcast, but we had an idea for this podcast like a year and some odd ago.
yeah, yeah. So that kind of leads into like kind of balancing our shit, and also like how like and burnout and how far we want to push.
I would
Um,
love in the like 31 to 32. I'm not gonna push for title. I mean, there's some shenanigans with title in terms of someone can swoop in and push a whole bunch of people off. But that I mean that's not my game. My game is a little different. Like wherever 31 to 3200 gets you. I think title seems has I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure title has been around 34 or higher is typically where it kind of lands.
um, for can you explain for me and people like me who don't know, what title, what is the requirements? Like, what title is that? Like top 10, like top, or
It
is that
is
just a
top.
rank thing that everyone gets?
It is 0.01%, the top level of the cream on a really good pie. A drop in the bucket, like not even a drop
So
across
like the best of
all
the best.
of players. Right. Many people will achieve Keystone Master and Keystone Hero. Um, and it's great and it's amazing and it's awesome. But then there are people that go beyond that. I want to go beyond that, but I'm not going to wreck myself trying to, I don't want to lose sleep over trying to obtain a title that where I could be asleep and literally get knocked out on the last day just because of the way it works. And that's a different game. There's people that play that game and that's okay. That's not my game. My game is to push myself and to see how far I can push these key levels. At least that's my goal. And I want to do it across the three different roles, your tank, your DPS, your healer, and then we can count support as a fourth role if we want. I mean, because right now I'm playing Og. I feel like there's a little bit more utility, and I'm not necessarily losing some chunk of damage by making different talent choices in the class tree, and I can somewhat gimmick upheaval and have upheaval be timed with an important cast. Now, it doesn't necessarily count as an interrupt. I mean, it stops a cast. That is, if they're not an elite mob.
Right.
But it can buy us time if it's well timed. Of course, right now we don't. I can't really. I don't have visibility to see what people's kicks are. I'm sure there's an add-on out there that is kind of taking a guesstimate, saying the enhanced shaman or elemental shaman used their kick. It is on this cooldown, and then it's just making assumptions. Which, I mean, I guess that works,
I mean, it's better than nothing, right?
right? But, I mean, reliable or not, I don't know. But that's my goal, and my goal is to do it, partly with Pug and partly with friends, right? Ideally, I would love to take all my friends through various levels of keys, when times line up where we can play.
Yeah, definitely. My my goals are similar, but to like a lesser degree. For me, it's more like I want to push keys, and I also want to do it across all three roles. Healer's gonna that one's gonna be like that's a stretch goal, but doable, I think. I don't know what like IO rating my goal is right now. It's still like I did Mythics in War Within in season one we ran, and I started to get more comfortable. So for me, it's more get more comfortable, learn my now solidified chosen classes.
Hey,
Um,
that's a difficult choice, man. Ask anybody out in the audience, unless they're diehard, like, I always play this class regardless. A lot of people struggle. Like, I've certainly have struggled. Although since Evoker, I've mostly been Evoker. So I feel your struggle. Like, what class do I want to play?
oh, I'm such a terrible altaholic where it's like I I bought Midnight what a week into launch is when I decided to play, and I went into it saying I'm gonna play survival. But then when I actually started leveling, I logged on the paladin, went prot. I was like, this is gonna be easy, and it was. With the understanding that I was leveling prot and going ret, and then I was like, I don't really want to do ret again because I did ret as my one of my melee DPS in War Within. It was great. I love ret. I've always loved ret pally, even in Burning Crusade when you had like 8 different seals and 8 different judgments, and it was terrible. Ret, I've always been a fan, but I didn't. I decided basically right after hitting 90, I didn't want to do that again, and I had thought I had settled on Warlock, which was my. I think I mentioned it earlier. I wanted to learn a new class that I haven't really experience too much. I didn't want to play demo, so I settled on destruction, and then elemental shaman just popped back in my head from when I played it briefly in Shadowlands there, and I'm glad I made the switch. I'm very much enjoying it, and I'm getting buffed on Tuesday, so I love that for me.
Yeah, Evoker's been in a weird nerf buff state in terms of like the tuning. Although I think a lot of classes, I think what they've done is they've pruned back some overall damage to then buff up specific skills to try to make strengths where the weaknesses were and not overpower the already too strong stuff, because they're balancing between raid and mythic plus. And mythic plus is a lot of AoE and priority damage, while raid is a lot of single target and priority damage. Like if there's a boss that has an ad, that ad is 9 times out of 10 a priority. Other than that, you're just fighting one boss.
Right.
Although this raid we've got like the council of like paladins, I forget the actual boss name, and then we got the 2 dragons. And then there's a lot of target switching. I feel that there's a lot of target switching. The Dream Rift guy, there's a bit of AoE, but like the little guys just die from cleaving, and you want to focus your damage on like the big guys. So far I feel like we're fairly well balanced now. I'm sure next week when we get more sims coming out of Mythic and looking at overall performance as opposed to theoretical, they have stated they're going to do tuning for a couple weeks after. So we'll see. I think a good goal for a lot of people would be to get portals.
That's a goal for me. And portals is what? That's at
10.
10 or
Yeah,
12?
that's 10.
10? Did I get portals in a War Within? I felt like we did 10s and 12s.
Oh, I certainly got portals. Although I really did not like, what is the one that they added, the goblin and undermine. I've put it out of my head. I didn't like it as an evoker. That dungeon was terrible, just because like you have the tethers from the boss, and you're tethered to somebody, and if you just do your random stuff, like, okay, I want to do my breath now, which is a big chunk of your stuff. You have to time it correctly and pray you're not going to hit some other crap, or you just kind of don't use it. And sometimes Chrono Warden, I would play Chrono Warden so I can specifically put an endpoint to my flight, but then the person I'm tethered with moves out of that endpoint. Like, mother.
Ugh.
So,
Yeah,
I
that
absolutely did not like that dungeon. I don't think, I know I did a 10, and there's another one that wasn't split in two, or what? No, no, no. I know I didn't do, I'd have to look, but I didn't do that dungeon. I did it begrudgingly if we needed to time the key and get done with it, but I don't think I focused. If someone said, "Hey, you want to do this dungeon?" I'd be like, "No, goodbye."
yeah, fair enough.
And I like Mythic Plus and I like all the dungeons, but that one I just absolutely did not like. And it's a favorite of many people, and that's okay that it's your favorite. My perspective is from an evoker, not any other class, right? So I'm kind of penalized in that dungeon because I can't use all my tools without more risk than what would otherwise be, unless people are super coordinated and very disciplined, which in a pug is not generally the case. I had instances where people moved. Speaking of runs and how preseason has going, any Mythic Zero runs or events spark a humorous
Uh,
tone
um,
or any pain points?
I guess. Well, so there's one run that sticks out, which was our Sky Reach run yesterday.
Oh God.
There's two big things that come to mind there. Which we'll start it off with my little blunder. Um, it's been a long time since I've done Sky
Is
Reach.
it really a blunder?
It was hilarious, to be honest. Um, Clearing out the last packs to hit the last boss not fully paying attention to what I was doing. We cleared out the pack. I see a bird flying at the platform. So I was like, sweet, we're going right into the boss. I hit Bloodlust with full confidence. I was like, we're going to do this. We're going to destroy this boss. And then someone goes, yeah, Digi, that's a trash mob. We killed that trash mob in record speed because I popped all my cooldowns too. So that was fun, but also our tank, which is a friend of ours, just pipes up randomly, what, 2/3 into the dungeon or halfway into the dungeon and goes, yeah, my gear's all red. Can we mount in here?
Yeah, we were going to that bird boss on that
Yeah.
platform, the one that does the quills.
And we tried to push through the dungeon in his red gear.
Well, we got past
Um,
that boss, and then we got to the trash before the final boss's platform. But the whole way going up was constant heart attacks from a healer
yeah,
perspective. Like, what the hell is
yeah.
hitting you? Oh, right, red gear. Oh, no.
Um, yeah, we got to what it was the pull before the bloodlusted trash mob where we finally had to just pop out and repair real quick. But Day, speaking of people running dungeons without all their gear working
Yeah.
or equipped.
Yeah. I was working on the podcast. Oh, speaking of, I should probably put my weapon back on. So some guildies were like, "Hey, we need people for this some mythic zeros, right?" I'm like, "I'll go." And yeah, so I show up and I start doing like the first mythic zero without my weapon. And they're whispering me, "You don't have a weapon equipped." Like, "Oh, okay." I'll put on a
Oops.
weapon. And I spent gobs of gold on it. It's a crafted weapon. I had to have patience and discipline for my sparks. Them 4 sparks really burned a hole in my pocket. Yeah, so that
Any
was fun.
other fun moments in runs or maybe in your raid that you want to share?
Oh gosh. Well, I first want to say something in your defense. Skyreach has changed. The mobs on that platform, like the NPC, that platform is not how it used to be, if that makes any sense.
A little bit different monster wise.
Yeah, like you didn't have that trash on that platform to that extent. You would walk up and the boss would be standing on the platform, and before that, you would have, if I recall, like a small pool, but you had like a big multi-part abomination type thing. Where it's basically an AOE thing because it's 5 targets. The body, 2 arms, 2 legs. Right? It was in a
Right.
one abomination, but 5 parts. You didn't have, or at least I don't recall having that bird that's like already flying there. And if I recall correctly, there were like a, a very small pool between the abomination and the boss, because the boss was on the platform overlooking. It's hanging out. It's like it's dumb to the fact that you have broken into their sanctum and you are murdering all of their lieutenants. As far as raid, if I had anything I forgot.
Something about a beam.
Oh, yes, yes. King Salad Man. I'm standing there and doing it on heroic, and it's beam time, and I'm just like enamored by the pretty colors of the beam, only to get like destroyed by it because I got distracted and I didn't move out of the way. Like, ooh, what's this? I don't know this ability. Thanks for that reminder.
Anytime.
Yeah, that was fun, and I think that was like the last boss we did that night. I was already pretty tired. It was already like 11 o'clock.
I mean, that's fair.
It's kind of funny though. Like I do remember like staring at it, going, "Wow, that's actually really. Oh, I need to avoid that."
Yeah. And I mean that like that late into the night too, people get tired and for me that's when I like to call it. Like if I start getting tired, I'm gonna make mistakes and if I see a pretty beam or something, it's like, oh hey, that's cool. And then it's like, oh shit, I'm dead.
I know we're running at about 50 minutes. I don't know. It's kind of early to tell what the meta might shake up. I know that we wanted to discuss the meta, or at least how the meta might be happening.
Yeah.
I feel like tuning. I feel like tuning will be okay. I mean, a lot of people will be hurt, if a nerf happens, and maybe Blizzard has a crystal ball, which we both know, and all of us involved or listening probably will be like, yeah, no, that's bullshit. But they might see something with a certain item level that we don't see yet from beta. But uh, I don't know. They seem to be, what was it? Death Knights had a nerf and then a reversion of the nerf. I just know that there's some stuff with that, but
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
they
know.
got nerfed and then like the next day they they reversed it and made other changes instead.
Yeah, and they nerfed Og, but Og was really strong to begin with, and they're also removing some talents from Og in the point 0.5 patch, which they nerfed that particular talent, specifically Inferno's Blessing. They nerfed that one, and that one's being removed in the point 0.5 patch. But they nerfed they nerfed us. Then they used a couple of different tuning knobs to change some things, which I think the precision is. I find the precision to be much more welcome as opposed to just across the board nerf or buff. They did that to druids too. They reduced resto druid healing by some, and then they buffed up different parts of the kit to change where their effectiveness is. And I think that type is good for the game, and that maintaining a constant visual, if you will, on what the specs are doing is super important. And I remember back in the day, we would catch like a nerf bat between patches or something, and it felt like it was out of left field. And people would suddenly be very upset, and I can understand why you would be upset that once again your class got nerfed to the ground after you spent how many hours to level. But
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's nice that they're doing that. Like I know for Shaman, rather than just getting a straight, oh, this many percent across the board, they're targeting specific skills rather and like I think Lava Bolt or whatever it's called is getting like a 20% and Lightning Bolt's getting like a 10% rather than just everything's like your damage across the board is 20% increased, which I feel like can kind of really break a class.
we've come to an end. Any last minute thoughts before the season actually starts this coming week?
I mean, keeping on the topic of balancing, I'm looking forward to seeing the further balance changes that they're making over the next few weeks. Praying I don't get nerfed to the ground. And honestly, like I'm really just excited to get into keys more than anything and start running and start the push. Starting it off with the shaman, eventually forcing my friends to play in lower level keys for my warrior, which I'm
Hey,
sure
I'll
everyone
I'll
loves.
run I'll run that key, but you
And
have to
then
do my keys.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And then getting into healing. And that's gonna be I'm not gonna I'm gonna level my current priest, but I don't think I'm just gonna level it and jump into dungeons. I think I may have an alternate way of getting back into healing, which we've discussed that I don't know if we want to bring up on the podcast right away.
Yeah, we'll save it for next time.
Fair enough.
The
But
behind the
that
scenes part of keep them leaving or keep them wanting more, leave them with wanting more.
true, true, true. Long story short, for healing, it's coming eventually. This season, maybe next season. but it's coming, and that's a very scary for me but exciting thing that I'm looking forward to.
Any meta speculations? Like, what do we think is going to be in top level runs?
It's hard to say with active changes still happening. I think Brewmaster is probably going to be a pretty popular tank.
I would agree with that.
Damage wise,
I would say Brew and Pally will very common tanks. Pally mostly
yeah, that
for some consistent interrupts when your DPS need to focus on killing something that has a lot of health. You know, your shield proc, making sure that you're using your shield on the correct enemy as opposed to just willy nilly. I think that
mhm.
will kind of come out on the bleeding edge of keys. Healer wise, I don't know. I like the druid. I don't know. With bleeding edge keys, you often want to get fort, so that's either a healer or a DPS.
Yeah.
I know going into the expansion, Shadow Priest was looking pretty good, but I have not seen an awful lot of Shadow Priests running around. In fact, I don't even think my raid has a Shadow Priest. Our raid currently has 2 priests for healing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the state of Shadow is right now. I don't recall it being very high in the tier lists. I'm a max roll wowhead tier list kind of guy when I'm looking at stuff. Which I know I shouldn't be, but it
Well,
here we are. Um,
I mean, Archon in a week
I,
or two is gonna show us the popularity of specs and where their performance lies within keys and raid. Like right now, we've got raid, but we don't have Mythic raid. And
mhm,
Mythic raid is where we see what specs actually are outshining what we might have thought would have been the spec. But mind you, the first early weeks is only a very small handful of people in a Mythic raid. And then even in Mythic Raid, it's still a significantly smaller portion of players versus normal and heroic. The same thing with keys. A significantly smaller amount of players will do a 15 than those that will do a 10. And then there's even more people that will do an 8 that won't do a 10. And then there's even more people that will do a 5 that won't do an 8. One of my goals is to take those 5s and turn them into 15s, maybe. This is fun. I am passionate. I mean, I'm not the world's best, but I am certainly passionate about Mythic Plus. It fits my ADHD brain because it's I could focus for this amount of time and then I get a break, and then I could focus again for this amount of time and then I get a break. But that's besides the point.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, getting that run and then getting the break is nice rather than in a raid night, like you said, your raid nights are scheduled to be max efficiency. So Mythic Plus is nice in that respect, where you do your dungeon and then have a bathroom break, grab a snack, or do a run, and then watch an episode of your favorite show that you're watching at the time. So it's nice. I like Mythic Plus. Which is not something I would have said like a year and a half ago. I would have said I hate Mythic Plus and it's stupid, but it grew on me, and I'm here to push keys.
Well, I look forward to it.
It's going to be a good time.
I think so. Well, we're running at almost an hour. So we will bid you guys farewell. Have fun. We'll see you next week.
Good luck in your keys.
Don't break your timer. And remember,
Skull dies last.